Alright, we're off to Sigma Fortress Stage 2. I like the backgrounds in this one. For whatever reason, they always make me think of, like, Arctic stuff, which kind of comes into play in the second one more so.
It's kind of Return of the Jedi vibe from the window design.
Yeah, I was actually just about to say, it's never occurred to me before, but more Empire, like the window that Luke gets blown through during the Vader duel, a little bit.
So I like those tracks in the background.
Yeah, the fact that they're actually connected to stuff. It's like that in Storm Eagle's stage, too.
Yeah,
they're going up the tracks and stuff like that, as opposed to, just random hanging blocks. I like when games have the foresight to do that kind of thing. But yeah, so this stage is the one that marks, like, really starting up on, here's just a stage, or room after room of all the boss fights. So we're starting off with Chill Penguin, which means you'll actually get to see his weakness weapon in action. In my opinion, it's not way faster than using the Buster, but it is faster, so it's an excuse for me to use my favorite weapon in an actual boss fight.
It feels like, in a lot of these games, that in addition to doing more damage, the weakness weapons throw off their pattern.
Yes.
Like, it resets it to something more manageable.
I don't know if it's so much a reset. It's basically just like some form of stun lock or another. But yeah, there's definitely different benefits and stuff. There are certain instances in the series where it can actually make them more difficult, because it's locking them into something where they're like slightly more aggressive or something like that, but that's really rare.
They have a set AI routine for, I've just been hit by my weakness weapon, engage bullshit mode.
Sorta, yeah. It depends on the fight. But yeah, so there you got to see that you can actually not hijack the right armors, but you can, if you go in to an area where these right armor enemies would be before they actually get into them. So basically, if you're not in a right armor, they'll be outside of them and you can take them. It works like that in Chill Penguin stage as well. And it's like that throughout the series for the Super Nintendo games anyway. So really just 1 and 2 do it.
I wish you could take the right armor up here and into the next boss fight.
I don't even really know how that would work.
Yeah, it's Storm Eagle, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. So
just pushes it right off the edge.
Throws it at you like the Pac-Man fire hydrant and smashes. But yeah, so this one is another one where you get to see the weakness weapon in action. So it's Chameleon Sting, which is like way at the end of the cycle that I normally do. I'm not 100% sure if the split shots do less damage than the initial grouped shot. I don't think it matters that much. Really, the benefit is that you can hit him a little easier with it because it fans out a little bit. I don't have any trouble doing him with the Buster, but that way it's definitely faster, especially if you're willing to try to get close and hit him with the full burst.
Yeah, and that's another thing you don't always see with the weakness weapons, but some of them are very clearly designed around the boss's movements.
Yeah.
And others are just, it does more damage.
Yeah, it's better about being largely positive in these ones. And that doesn't mean trying to be creative about getting past this guy without taking too much damage. I don't really know why.
How the fuck do the hitboxes work on those missiles?
What do you mean?
Like, when you were shooting from the right, they were getting stopped by the platform, but when you were shooting through the left,
they weren't getting stopped by the platform, they were getting stopped by the very bottom hit detection of the guy's shield.
Alright.
Yeah. So now we're going into another fortress boss. This is Rangda Bangda, who is one of my favorites just because it's interesting, the whole room is the boss fight.
Yeah.
Which is almost reminiscent of, the Yellow Devil and stuff from the classic games, but rather than just being a really big enemy, it's literally, you're inside the enemy, which is kind of cool. I guess it'd be similar-ish to the Gamma fight in Mega Man 3, I want to say Gamma's in? The peacekeeping robot? I know you...
The giant peacekeeping robot of mass destruction.
Yes. It makes sense in certain context. In the game, it is not detailed at all. But yeah.
I think it would be neat if, instead of walls, it was giant hands pushing into the sides, just to tie in the whole...
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool.
Face thing. Nick's got a giant logo on his forehead.
I know, right? Copyright, I don't know. Copyright Sigma 20, or
20XDX.
Yeah. 2XXX?
Sounds about right.
Yeah. Or no, that's right, this one is 20XX, or 21XX. That. Anyway! Copyright Sigma! Now I'm curious. It's in here somewhere. 20XT6. I will find it. But yeah, no, I really dig the whole room boss thing, and without spoiling it, they use the idea again later on in a way that I actually think is a little cooler, if not a little bit like randomly thematic. But yeah, this one drags a little bit. There are certain weakness weapons per component. I'm pretty sure you just want to use Rolling Shield and Chameleon Stick throughout most of it. I chose to go Buster only here, mostly just so that I wasn't like switching too much constantly, I guess.
Yeah.
There's a lot of ways you can approach this fight. One thing that I like to do, though, is avoid destroying the nose first. Like, you kind of want to do that last. Because if you destroy the nose, it'll have the walls move in indefinitely, if I'm remembering correctly, and you'll have to fight both of the eyes. Yeah, like, it was like that. So you'll have to fight both of the eyes in a much more compressed space, which, if anything else, is just a pain in the ass.
It feels kind of like a bug to me.
I mean, it kind of plays into knowing how the fights work, so I kind of like it. Oh, I also didn't mention it at any point, I don't think, but I'm not going for the Hadoken in this, just because no one wants to watch me jump off a cliff that many times, and everybody's aware of it.
I could edit it out, but we didn't go for it in the original recording, so it would be weird to do it in this one.
Yeah, it's no big deal either way. I think in this one, I might show off that he blocks them a little bit better. No, I do not. Never mind. If you get him far enough away, though, it's really nice. You can get into a nice sort of pattern of just like jumping up over those snowball shots. I don't know why they always reminded me of snowballs. Just because they're like the little tiny white projectiles.
Or things.
Yeah.
And see, he's another one where it feels like hitting him with his weakness weapon resets his pattern in an exploitable way. To
a point, like, he'll still go into the rolls and stuff. He rolls into the walls less when his armor is removed. So even if you're not attacking him at all, he'll still do that on a different cycle than he would normally. Because while he's still armored, he will go around the room like 4 or 5 laps sometimes. But then when his armor is off, it's like 2 max, I think, so you can more reliably get him to land. I like to justify that as him not being able to manage the impact without the armor, but I'm sure it's just a gameplay thing. I don't think they thought that much into the lore.
Are those spikes on the ceiling?
They are. They're in his normal one. They will not instant kill you. They're just there to justify the raining spike attack thing that he does. So, cool thing about him, I actually just more recently found out about this, but the, or actually not more recently, I think the excerpt is directly in official Complete Works. Let me pull that out real quick if I can do it. Nope, he's already dead.
My sting.
Where is it? There's a note in some source.
Citation needed.
Citation needed. There it is. The visual effect of Chameleon fading away was an idea that came from one of the programmers. I remember how everyone on our team was amazed by what the programmers were capable of. I was excited about all the crazy things we could do now, things that we couldn't have done with the NES. We kept popping out ideas, and the programmers kept doing it. I just think it's neat that, like, one of the coders at one point was just like, it'd be really cool if Chameleon could actually, like, chameleon it up, and it was like, you know, the wobbly effect and everything.
Yeah, which is really impressive looking sprite work, which makes sense since it's on the code end. But...
yeah, exactly. It's just stuff that, like, a lot of what happened in X design-wise was like, alright, we've got a new system, let's just, like, fucking go for it. Like, everything needs to look and perform better than the previous ones. Which, honestly, I think is really, really admirable that, like, there was no kind of like, oh, you know, let's get our feet wet first and then go for it. It's just like, no, we're like, let's do this.
Well, to be fair, they've already done, what, 6 Mega Man games already at this point?
At this point, yeah.
Did 7 come out before or after X?
I want to say 7 came out after the first X game, but maybe before the second one? I would need to double check that, but...
I like that the fish stomachs are so much stronger than their exteriors.
Right? Well, I mean, if you could, like, maybe they're for trash disposal, so, like, they eat things and then it dissolves down or whatever. So the inside could be more durable.
Yeah.
I mean, you can go into the same argument of, like, well, why don't they just make everything out of the armor that the Mets are made from? It's just gameplay stuff.
That's a good idea. They should do that.
trying to get fancy. I didn't get to show this off in either his fight or Mammoth's, but you can use the boomerang cutter to cut off his tentacles or Flame Mammoth's trunk, which I will also show off coming up, I think, is the next one. Which obviously very much changes up his attack pattern. It does way more against Launch Octopus than it does with Flame Mammoth. He won't go through the E-Drain attack, the whirlpool, and he can't fire his homing torpedo. It's only the dumbfire one. So basically all he can do now is jump at you and be grumpy.
Makes the fight a lot more manageable.
It really does.
Like, the original fight was pretty hectic.
I was going to use the bonus points to you.
Sweet. I claim the Scotchapon. I don't want the Scotchapon.
That's what the more use of weapons outside of actual boss fights. I feel like the Super Nintendo games do a really good job at that. I know that there are certain components of them that happen in, the later ones. Actually, I guess it isn't just the Super Nintendo ones. Like, I know that X8, obviously, we'll get to it when we get to it, but X8 does a lot of outside of boss fight weapon usage, which is really cool. So, they generally do a good job of it throughout. There are more games, or certain games that it shines with. Oh, maybe I don't beat Trunk in this fight.
Look, you gotta cut off Mammoth's fucking trunk, yo. Otherwise, it's just not a 100% kill.
Totally not gonna. I'm 100% positive I do it in the alternate run. Yeah. So, if you want to see that, go over that way. They'll both be up on the same day, I assume, 30 years from now when these actually release.
I like that the conveyor still works during the death end.
Yes!
Because it's just still everything in-game, so shit's going to keep on working as though it should.
Yep. Alright, so now we've got D-Rex, which is just a thing. Like, it's a giant angry skull thing. And this is a weakness weapon that I also only found out about recently. I never thought to use Boomerang Cutter for, anything, because I don't like range limitation stuff, which is stupid, because that's the same reason I used to not use Fire Wave, and then I learned what Fire Wave was capable of, so I should have really kind of applied that to the rest of the weapon. But yeah, no, Boomerang Cutter just wrecks his shit.
I mean, to be fair, Boomerang Cutter is a lot more finicky to use than the straightforward Fire Pillar.
Yeah, no, you're right, but even still,
just getting it to go in the correct direction.
The damage output in this fight is totally worth it, though. Even using the Powered X-Buster, that fight takes a long time to burn through, at least comparatively. So, it's nice to have the alternative there for sure. I used to think it was Rolling Shield, but it wasn't. First week is fine.